Here are the moments I think you should know about from episode 44 of Beyond the Gates. I'm going to be so sad whenever the friendship Leslie has with Mona and Jan is forever changed or perhaps over after she drops the bomb at Ted and Nicole's anniversary party. This episode opened up with them at Orphe Jeans, and I just love all three of them together. And Leslie had this moment where she told the ladies how much she values their friendship, and they look at her and they're like, "What's going on? Like, are you leaving us?" And of course, she played it off by saying, "Oh, I saw something on social media where it said you should value your friends." But she knows that their friendship is going to be over once she reveals that she had an affair with Ted, and she's here to expose him at the anniversary party. So after they break up, something else that Leslie is doing is confronting all of the Duprees. So she has had interactions with Kat and now Martin and Vernon. Whenever Mona and Jan are leaving, Mona's going back to Nicole's to get ready for some stuff with the anniversary party. Jan is heading over to Ashley and Derek's because they're moving in together, and that's a whole mess. I'll talk about that in a bit. Whenever they're leaving, Martin and Vernon come in and they have a whole scene to themselves. But Leslie comes over and pretends like she's this fangirl. And, you know, I know people who love politicians and they would freak out. I mean, I worked with someone who made me take his picture with Beto O'Rourke from down in Texas. And yeah, like I get it. But she was going on, and then she hinged into like this crazy territory where she talked about making sure Bigfoot had privacy, and she said something else. Anyway, it was bonkers, and there was a meme that, here, I'll just put it up. Yeah, you can see this is how Martin was looking at her the entire time she was talking to them. Anyway, her plan is to interact with as many Duprees as she can so they all feel stupid whenever she reveals who she really is at this anniversary party. So it's about revenge. And we get a sense of that whenever she is talking to Eva in their apartment. So before Eva gets home, here, I'll just put it up.
I got wigs on wigs on wigs on wigs on wigs on wigs on wigs. I got wigs on wigs on wigs on wigs on wigs on wigs on wigs. I got the blue, I got the brown, I got the money green cause I'm rich. I got the red, I got the blonde. Mirror, mirror, tell me who that bitch.
You know, I love Leslie and Dana and Anna and Sherry and Lulu with all of her wigs. And I absolutely love that creator, and I'll like tag them in this story, who put this together. I think people are so creative, and I would have never thought to do that. I think they had one with, it was the City Girl song, Wigs, and I love the City Girl. I'm a City Girl, so yes, I love that. But also, right after, Eva comes in, and they have a conversation, and Eva is like, "Why are you playing in all these people's faces? Like, this is just about Ted." And she says, "No, it's actually about Nicole. And she took the life that I should have had, etc., etc., etc." And so all the Duprees, I think Eva said in a karmic sense, they're all responsible for this. And Leslie said, no, they're all responsible because of how Nicole was raised and how she gets everything. So of course, this is very personal for her. And then we see a scene of them back before they moved to the Fairmont Crest area. Whenever Alan has just died, Eva is getting clients and she's thinking about picking up a second job because they need more money because, again, capitalism is the killer. You might have heard that in my last one, but yes, the working class people have to have multiple jobs. I mean, it is just this society, whether you live in Seattle, Washington, this is one of the most expensive cities in the country, FYI, or in Greenville, Kentucky, where I grew up, where minimum wage is still $7.50 an hour, $7.25, I think, whatever the federal minimum wage is. It's tough. It's tough to live. And so we get a flashback scene of them. And this is whenever, right after Alan dies, which some people have said they think Leslie killed Alan. This is where, Leslie says to Eva, we deserve to have the life that we should have lived. And that's how the plot hatches, for her coming back to confront Ted and demand more money. And that's what they really want. They're thinking that they're going to make the scene and then demand money from them to make sure it doesn't get out. Also in that flashback, we see her looking at Alan's obituary. Eva comes in, she shuffles it aside and puts it in some papers. And then whenever Eva leaves, she looks at the obituary and just tosses it. So that is why some people think she might have had something to do with Alan. She did not love him, apparently, called him a mediocre man. And I felt like she was in that relationship because she felt like she had to be in a relationship. Look at me humanizing Leslie throughout all this, even though she is the bad person. And going back to the friendship, like it's a soap opera. So we know there is a redemption arc she could be on. She could be on our screens for the next 10 to 20 years and be friends with these people right after she's done this. Just not right after, but you know what I mean. It's a soap opera. But in real life, stuff like that doesn't happen. I have a story. There was someone I used to work with, and we both had music backgrounds, clarinet, singing, performance backgrounds. And so much so, there was a joke about a local official's name. It was Liza or Lisa, and everyone was like, well, what is it? And if you know musical theater, there's a song called Liza with a Z, not Lisa with an S, because Lisa with an S goes not Z. Liza Minnelli. In our little editorial group chat, whatever, as soon as that was said, we both at the same time typed, it's Liza with a Z. And we could have been friends, but there was a moment years ago where I missed a flight. This person was asked to work for me, and I didn't know this because I'm not this person's boss. So I tell the truth. Yeah, I missed a flight, and my shift, it was close. I get reamed out by my boss about not scheduling vacations, and then I find out they worked for me, this person, and I went to say thank you because, yeah, working a double is hard, but the bitch also got paid and they didn't have to work. But I'm nice. And they proceeded to tried to give me a tongue lashing. And I said, listen, I'm not doing this with you in this newsroom in front of people. I came to thank you, but I didn't have to do anything. Over. Haven't talked to that person since. Even though we would have been the best of friends, and we were. This is someone that I looked out for, called an Uber whenever they were too drunk to drive home. Whenever people were talking about them, perhaps cheating on their spouse, because open relationship, we don't know if they were in one, but it wasn't any of my business. But we all saw them kiss another one of our colleagues. But I was always defending this person, and they don't even know that. They don't watch this. They're blocked from all my social media now. But so yeah, I don't see how Leslie can be a friend to any of those people after she does this, Mona or Jan. Okay, so as you can see, I talked a lot about Leslie and Dana, et cetera, but I mentioned open relationships. So Chelsea goes to Martin, and Martin wakes up from a bad dream, and I think he might have hit someone and then moved the body. Okay, this is coming from my personal life. Like someone I knew, someone of someone I knew. Funny enough, it was actually a representative. They now passed away because of COVID. The person I know was in college, hit someone, moved the body or looked at the body, did something. And if they would have called 911, the person would have lived, but they didn't. And then it was traced back to them, and then they were sent to prison. And then the outgoing governor gave them a pardon, mainly because, or most people think because, his father was our area's representative, who also did me a favor whenever I was much younger. I forgot to pay a parking ticket, New Year's Eve, wasn't even drinking. And I get pulled over and they tried to take me to jail. And I called my representative who knows me, and the cop said, okay, you can go. Anyway, all that to say, Martin wakes up from a dream, and I think maybe he hit someone or something happened. Who knows? Chelsea knocks on the door and it's like, hey, cuz, I need to talk to you. I need to talk about threesomes. And then Martin says, okay, well, I think you come to the wrong house because Smitty and I are boringly monogamous. Boringly. I think that is the problem. Like, they need some spice in their life, because if you're monogamous, you just say you're monogamous. If you're boringly monogamous, that means that you're seeking something else. You want something else. There was a guy who was talking to Smitty whenever Anita was performing. And I was like, is he into Smitty? Because they were kind of close. I don't know. Could have just been a throwaway line, but I saw that. And Chelsea's like, well, no, it's not. I just need to know. Basically, she's having feelings for Allison, the girl she had a threesome with. And the couple, they're married. But she divulged to Martin that this last time, it was just her and Allison, and the guy, Craig, was sitting in the cup chair watching them go at it. That's kind of funny. If you know what that is, sure. If you don't, just look it up. But Craig was watching them have sex, and she feels like there's like another spark. So I think it's really cool that we're getting a Black woman exploring her sexuality. Plus, it's filmed in Atlanta, and if you know anything about the housewives down there, they are always doing something, whether it's in Candy's dungeon or Bolo on the trip in South Carolina. Anyway, it is good to see in this soap opera world a Black woman trying to figure out her sexuality and seeking advice from her gay cousin, because she said, as far as I know, you're the only person in our family who's had to think about their sexuality, because people take it for granted that they just like what they like. But yeah, we as gay people, we think about that. And because we're so outside of the norm, whatever that means, we are allowed to define our own relationships. We're allowed to be in open relationships. We can be in monogamous relationships, closed relationships. We can be in relationships where we, like Allison and Craig, only do things with other people together. It's what we're allowed to do. It's what everyone is allowed to do. So it was nice to see Chelsea talk to Martin about this. And then she meets up with Allison and tells her how she's feeling. And Allison is feeling the same way. And funny enough, I have two friends who are lesbians, and they are together, like they're partners, they're locked in, they'll probably get married. But they both have kind of boyfriends on the side. And I mean, to be frank, they said that sometimes you just need a dick. So I think it's really cool that we're getting this representation on the show. And of course, they're at Uptown, Chelsea and Allison. And in walks Naomi and Jacob, and they're about to hang out with Derek and Ashley, who've just had a traumatic time moving in together. And Naomi says, Chelsea, come join us. And then they're kind of ruining their vibe because, you know, they were just going to talk and get to know each other. And now Allison is forced to be with these people that she doesn't know. So Derek and Ashley are having a terrible time moving in together. He has weird furniture. He has a moose head that he wants to keep, that he got from the station, but now he wants to, like, it's just a crazy time. Ashley is apparently very anxiety ridden. I don't want to say OCD because that term is like tossed around flippantly, but like people who have OCD, like they have to like touch things constantly, depending on what they have. Like they have to like do like really hard things that we would never have to do. So just because Ashley has a shelving system does not make her OCD, but perhaps very anxiety prone. It's not a good time to be moving in together. And I think we are seeing why they should not be together. Just because you have good sex with someone does not mean you should be with someone. And even Jan walks in and is trying to help them figure out like how to move their things together. But no, Ashley is just not having it. So that's why they're at Uptown. Excuse me. And they're decompressing. Of course, everyone drinks to decompress. Not me though. Not in a while. And then what else happened on today's episode? Ted and Nicole continue to be interrupted. First, it was by Eva, who they had to figure out these last minute plans. And then Mona gets back from hanging out with her friends, and she wants to go over stuff for the garden. And I think in that way, they're showing us that, yeah, you know, their relationship is about to be interrupted in a very big way. And these are just like precursors. And then we got, I mentioned it earlier, a scene with Martin and Vernon. After Lulu, Leslie, Dana, super fan of the Duprees, left them, they had a conversation about Martin's future and how the dreams are coming back. And Vernon made it clear, not many people know about it. Bone collector Bill knows about it, but even Nicole doesn't know about it. And Vernon says, we don't want to burden anyone else with this. But I think this is one of those long game storylines that they're going to hold on to us, keep us locked in for a while, because, you know, yeah, Danny at the wedding was like big, and that was like boom, boom, boom. Like that's how we start off a soap opera. And Leslie on Friday dropping this bomb that's going to be good. But I think the secret with Martin is going to be huge. And apparently there's a new actor, forget his name, but I talked about him or put up his picture a few recaps ago. He's a part of it somehow. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And good job, security, for Martin, the actor who plays him, because yeah, they are giving him a long storyline. Anyway, I'm not ready for Friday, and I'm going to be in LA for Beyonce. So I'm going to be happy in my real life, but in my soap opera life, I'm going to be so sad because I don't want to see what's going to happen. But that's a soap opera. That's what we get. And yeah, if you watched all this, thank you so much. I did a lot of rambling, a lot of talking about my life, but I think that you all have been listening to me a while now, and why not? I can divulge some things. I don't tell everything, but I can divulge some things. Anyway, I will see you back here this coming Friday for my recap of episode 45, where Leslie is sure to make a big reveal at Ted and Nicole's anniversary party.